Good evening, Commissioners. We'll begin this meeting of the Clovis City Commission. I'd like to welcome all of the members of the public that we have with us this evening. And we will begin the meeting with a word of prayer, and then we will honor our flags. If you would, stand and pray with me, please. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessings that you give us each day. Thank you for the privilege it is to live in such a wonderful community and to serve here. Lord, bless us and guide us and make us wise stewards of the city's resources as we make decisions concerning the city and the good for our public. Lord, we pray and ask these things. I ask these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in honoring our country's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I salute the flag
Of the state of New Mexico, the zealous symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Our meeting is called to order. Ms. Reyes, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Levitt?
Here.
Commissioner Madrid?
Here.
Commissioner Casals?
Here.
Commissioner Elliott?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant?
Here.
Commissioner Garza?
Here.
Commissioner Rowley?
Here.
Commissioner Paula?
Here.
And Mayor Morris.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Reyes. Next is approval of the agenda. Commissioners, as you look over the agenda, I would appreciate any recommendations you have for rearranging or removing anything. I would mention that under the consent agenda, item number 3, dealing with the TSA lease agreement, we need to remove that from the agenda this evening. There's work and research still being done on that. So we'll remove that from the consent agenda. That being said, are there any other recommendations that we remove or rearrange any of the items?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Commissioner Casals.
A second.
And a second from Commissioner Garza. Appreciate that. Commissioners, please vote. By a vote of 8-0, the motion is carried and our agenda has been approved. Next is approval of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes this evening, Commissioners. The first is the Thursday, July 15th, 2021 meeting. That was a regular commission meeting. Those minutes are in your packet. You've probably had a chance to review those. Are there any changes or corrections, or is there a motion to approve them as they are printed?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion to approve from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. I heard a second from Commissioner Elliott. Commissioners, please vote. By a vote of, who did we not get a vote from there? I'm sorry, Commissioner Garza, could I have your vote, please?
That's a yes.
Thank you. And by a vote of 8-0, the motion is carried. The minutes from July 15th are approved. Next are the minutes from the Monday, July 26th, 2021 meeting. That was a special commission meeting. You have those minutes in your packet. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Madrid.
Second.
Second from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Commissioners, please vote. And Commissioner Garza, if I could have your vote, please.
That's a yes. Thank you.
Thank you. By a vote of, let's see if the math is right, we have Garza, 5 in favor, 2 abstentions, and 1 no vote. So I think that's actually 6 in favor, including Commissioner Garza. The motion is carried, and the minutes from July 26th have been approved. Next is recognition of visitors. Commissioners, isn't it great to see several folks in the gallery this evening? We look forward to hearing from each of you when we reach the point in the agenda that you're here to speak to us about. We'll move on to proclamations, awards, and presentations. We have one scheduled there this evening, and I'll call on Chief Nolan to help with this presentation. It is presentation of clock to Distinguished Line Employee of the Quarter, Driver Operator Paramedic Michael Booth. Chief Nolan is joining us, as well as Mr. Booth and Mrs. Booth.
And Mrs. Booth, yes. So, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, I'm very pleased to be here tonight to honor Michael Booth, driver operator, Clovis Fire Department, previous lieutenant. That doesn't sound very good, but you do have that coming. So, let me explain a little bit of that. Michael Booth started the same day I did, July 26, 1999. As he promoted up and made lieutenant, naturally, he found pastures greener on the other side. He left us, then he came back. A whole history of bad decisions in that family, probably. So, Michael actually come to Clovis from Cannon Air Force Base, from New York. So, when he got out of the service, family wouldn't have him back. He was stuck here. He came to work. Once he come back, he had made lieutenant, went to air flight, come back to us, working his way right back up the ladder again. And we're glad to have him. One of our paramedics listed. You know, we're always short on paramedics. We're glad to have him back. Anyways, he's accompanied tonight by his beautiful wife, Jamie. And so he has won the Line Employee of the Quarter, DEAP, and we would love to have you bring that clock right on down.
All right, Commissioners, that does it for presentations. We'll move on to receipts of petitions and communications. We have one scheduled there this evening from John Ryan. He's actually running late due to traffic on I-40. But we also will hear from our Building Safety Director, Mr. Darren Roach, under communications. Mr. Roach. He has an announcement, and then I believe some information to share with us.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, just want to give a couple of updates on a very hot topic right now, or kind of a few weeds around town. I don't know if you guys have noticed them. We have. So I've pulled a few numbers. Right now, from January 1st till now, we've had 878 cases. That's what each code officer, it's not each one of them, but that's the numbers that they have that they've worked. We have 322 currently open, and that's 221 more from this time last year. So yeah, the weeds have made a big impact. Weeds are all over town. We've seen them. We get lots of calls on them. We're working on it slowly. ERT is currently 63 properties behind, so we're roughly a month and a half behind schedule. So, but we're working on it. We're getting there. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer some.
Yeah, well, appreciate that update. And those figures, did you say you have 878 cases
So far,
so far, and these are just about weeds?
that's everything.
It's everything. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. And
But probably 870 of them are weeds.
definitely have a weed issue after all of that rain. You take the good with the bad, right?
Good with the
But,
bad.
And just to be clear, when you talk about cases that you're working related to weeds, these are instances where the property owner has let the weeds get out of control, and you're notified, and your department needs to open a case and do something about that.
Correct. So our guys doing kind of like how they have been before. They post the notice, they send the letter, they have 5 days to correct it. If they don't, then our guys come in and take care of it. But like I said, they're slightly behind because of a few weeds in town. So, one of the other things I did want to talk about, we have a new code supervisor. His name is Robert Carson. He started with us May 17th of this year. He comes from North Carolina?
South Carolina.
The other Carolina, it's the southern one. He's got some family here in Clovis, but he's moved here. The rest of his family's coming out this way to Clovis, making it their home. He's knocking it out of the park. He's doing wonders. So a lot of those numbers are actually his. So he's helping me get things in order and in line there. So I would like to introduce Robert Carson.
Thank you, Director.
Hello, Mr. Carson, welcome.
Well, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. I appreciate being hired by the city of Clovis. I'm originally from South Carolina in Orangeburg. I was stationed at Cannon Air Force Base from '88 to '92 at the fire station there on base. I met my beautiful wife, who I've been married to since 1991. She's from Tucumcari, New Mexico. Had a stepson. Now they have my grandchildren. My son's a welder. My daughter-in-law is a deputy with the sheriff's office. 3 grandchildren here. A 19-year-old daughter still in Beaufort, South Carolina, which is near Parris Island. And she's in college. My wife is looking for a job with the nursing career field here. She should be back on this side of the country hopefully soon. I brought my Chihuahua with me, and I'm enjoying it so far. There's some challenges I see. I've got a little bit of fire and police background. I retired from the Beaufort Police Department with a total of 20 years, and then 5 years with Orangeburg Public Safety. I was an emergency manager for a good part of the last 12 years of my career with the city of Beaufort. And I did spend some time at Savannah, Georgia as a codes officer. So I am looking forward to hopefully improving the quality of life here as best I can in the role that I have, and support and push my team forward to make improvements.
Thank you. We're sure glad you're here. I think we're fortunate to have you. Thanks for choosing to come live here and work for the city of Clovis. And thanks for being here this evening.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
He already went and sat down, but did anyone have a question or a comment for Mr. Roach?
I have a question.
Yeah, Commissioner Casas.
I have gotten several calls about backyards. Do you give citations out to backyards also? I mean, one lady said the weeds to her neighbor's house are 6 feet tall.
We do if it's visible from
The alley?
normal access. An alley is normal access. We do work them. It's just, there's a long waiting list to get
Right.
to them.
I realize that. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Roach?
No questions. I just want to thank Darren for his hard work and all the teamwork that he provides to take care of all these weeds around town. Thank you.
As well as the graffiti and
Yes.
the properties that have needed cleaning up, and you've led the way on that. So thank you for all the work you're doing. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it. All right. While we are in receipts of petitions and communications, is there anyone from the public that has something that they wish to bring before the commission this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda, Commissioners. This item is placed on the agenda so that the commission, by unanimous consent, can designate those routine agenda items that they wish to approve or acknowledge by one motion. If any proposal does not meet with the approval of all commission members, or if a citizen so requests, that item will be heard when reached under the regular agenda. After removing the one item this evening, Commissioners, we have 6 items. The first is the motion to place. The sixth is the motion to approve or acknowledge. I'll read I'll read the items now. Item 2 is request for approval of proposal for City Commission redistricting plan. Item 3, request for approval to award RFP 21-0402-02 Sporting Clay Course to Traps and Targets R Us. Item 4, request for approval of lodgers tax disbursements for July 2021. Item 5, request for approval to appoint 4 citizens to serve on the Clovis Carver Library Board. Unless there are any questions or concerns about these items, I would entertain a motion to place the indicated items on the consent agenda by unanimous vote.
Make a motion to go ahead and place the items on the,
Motion by Commissioner Madrid,
second?
second from Commissioner Lovett. Commissioners, please vote. And Commissioner Garza, if I could have your vote, please.
That's a yes.
Thank you. And by a vote of 8-0, the motion is carried. The items have been placed on consent. I would now entertain a motion to approve or acknowledge all items on the consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Casals and second from Commissioner Elliott. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Garza, your vote, please.
That's a yes, thank you.
Thank you. And the vote is unanimous, and the motion is carried. Thank you. Next is introduction and adoption of resolutions and ordinances. 2 items there this evening. The first is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3080-2021, LIDA election resolution. And to advise on this item, Mr. Morris, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. Of course, as you all know, thanks in large part to the mayor's hard work and other members of the commission and city administration, the LIDA statute, which has been amended numerous times since its adoption 20 years ago, was most recently amended to take effect July 1st of this year in a way that really benefits the city, and that is that eligible entities to receive LIDA funding typically have not included retail establishments, at least not to the city of Clovis, and up until 2013, not for anyone else. Prior to this amendment in 21, cities, I believe, under 15,000 persons in population could receive LIDA funding for retail businesses. And with the new legislation that took effect in July, cities over 15,000 people can now receive the LIDA funding. That doesn't apply, I believe, to state funding, but anything in our economic development fund and our municipal funding. And so back in 2013, the LIDA statute was amended to initially include the option for retail businesses for smaller communities. And at the time that they amended the statute in 2013, they added a provision that said any municipality wishing to include retail businesses as a qualifying entity has to take the issue to the voters. So the resolution before you this evening ideally would be placed on the next election, which is a local election, a county election to be held on November 2nd. And the question that's contained in the resolution will be the question that is given to the voters. If approved by the voters, then we'll adopt an ordinance, and my understanding of the current version of the LIDA statute is, I believe within 3 months after that ordinance is adopted, then the ordinance takes effect and we can begin using LIDA funding appropriately. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions or further explanation.
Thank you for that, Mr. Morris. Commissioners, you have in your packet the election resolution that if approved, you can see that the question would go on the ballot in November is, shall the city of Clovis allow retail businesses to constitute a qualifying entity for the purpose of furthering or implementing economic development plans and providing public support for projects as defined in the Local Economic Development Act? As you know, this all pertains to the municipal LIDA, to the local funding, which is generated through gross receipts. This is about many things, not the least of which local control. As a municipality, I think that we're in a good position to decide how to use that money that's in our local budget. And you know, getting this onto the ballot is an important step in getting us to the place where we have in the toolbox for economic development, the availability, to use the local LEDA to support economic development projects that are retail. So this is an important step in a long process that I hope that we have your support on. What questions do you have that Mr. Morris could probably answer, or comments?
Make a motion, we approve resolution 3080, 2021.
Thank you, Commissioner Lovett. We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Lovett.
I'll second.
The second came from Commissioner
Me.
Casals. All right, very good. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Garza, your vote, please.
That's a yes, thank you.
Thank you. And by a vote of 8-0, the motion is carried. Thank you, Commissioners. Next, we have item 2 under this section, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3081-2021, repealing per diem resolutions. And for this one, we come back to our city attorney, Mr. Morris.
Thank you again, Mayor. Good evening again, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. So the State Per Diem and Mileage Act is constantly being amended, I think most likely to increase the rates and mileage rates for public employees. We have 3 resolutions that we've adopted, establishing our own per diem and mileage rates over the last 20 years. And I think Justin, Mr. Holwalt, can speak better to the policy reasons. I know one of which is that the statute is constantly changing, but the city has decided that it would be beneficial to repeal the 3 prior resolutions and just go off the current state statute and adopt a resolution that, which is before you tonight, repeals those resolutions and would default. The default position would be that we follow the state statute, and that every time the state statute is amended, of course, we are now subject to the new amendments. Again, I think Mr. Holwalt may have a better description as to the reasons behind it, but I do know that the only way to accomplish the withdrawal of the 3 prior resolutions is to pass the resolution that's in front of you this evening.
Thank you for that, Mr. Morris. Mr. Howalt, would you add anything?
No, and simply looking at our old ordinances, they basically followed the state statutes and followed the New Mexico Administrative Code, with the exception that actually our rates were lower than what the state was setting. And so, in all fairness to our employees, as costs have increased over the years, we have not increased those. And so, since we were basically following what the state was doing anyways, we thought it would just make sense for us to follow what they were doing. Thank you.
Yep, thanks for that, Mr. Howalt. Commissioners, comments or questions?
I'll make
I'll
a
move
motion,
to
go ahead and
approve.
approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Madrid and a second from Commissioner Paula. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Garza, your vote, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's a yes.
Thank you. And by a vote of 8-0, the motion is carried. Thank you. Nothing to deal with under unfinished business this evening, so we are on to new business, and we have 4 items there this evening. The first is request for approval of new restaurant liquor license to be located at 221 West First Street. And for information on this, we're back to our city attorney, Mr. Morris.
Thank you again, Mayor. So before you this evening, I think, is our first question of approval of a new restaurant-type liquor license that took effect since the law changed in July. The license is for Rails 1907 LLC, which I understand is a limited liability company operated by Thomas Nichols and I believe Jordan Nichols, who I spoke with today, and maybe other individuals from Farwell. It's going to be, I guess, kind of an American variety food type establishment. It's right there at downtown next to First and Main. It is zoned industrial. The company did receive preliminary approval from RLD on June 17th of 2021. We published notice twice in the next 30 days as required by law. That was done on June 30th and July 4th. And then, of course, this hearing is held within 45 days as required by statute. So before you this evening is a hearing on the commission's approval of the Rails Restaurant liquor license application. The location is not within 300 feet of a church, school, or a military installation, so there's no waiver issue. And if there's no questions, Mayor, I would turn it back over to you for a public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
I believe, I spoke to Jordan Nichols earlier. I believe he's in the audience this evening.
Okay, great, thank you for that. That being said, we'll now enter into the public hearing for this item. And we would welcome any comments from the public related to this item. I believe the city attorney would need to swear you in, and we would hear anything you have to say related to this. Okay, we have, yes, please come forward. It's good to see you. If you'd just identify yourself, and then I'll let the attorney swear you in.
I'm Lisa Pellegrino-Spear, the Executive Director for Clovis Main Street, and
Can you raise your right hand, please?
Sure.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I just, here's actually Jordan now, so. We just wanted to say that our recommendation from Clovis Main Street standpoint for the liquor license at this facility, this has been a really long process, getting this facility reestablished and revitalized. It took a lot of creative development, and we're really excited to see this. We know that it'll be a great contribution to our community and to our downtown district, and bring a lot of life back into our railroad district. So we're really excited to see it, and we support it, and hope you guys do as well too. And we'll stand for any questions as well.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyone else wish to give testimony related to this item? Okay. Commissioners, we do need a motion and a second and a vote to exit the public hearing.
Make a motion, we close the public meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Motion to close the public hearing was made by Commissioner Lovett, and there was a second by Commissioner Garza. Commissioners, please vote. And by a vote of 8-0, the motion is carried, and we've exited the public hearing. We're back to this item, this request for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Casal, second from Commissioner Madrid. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Garza, may I have your vote, please?
That's a yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And by a vote of 8-0, the motion is carried. Thank you. Item 2 under new business. Request for approval of agreement between the City of Clovis and Don Clifton on placing a collection of arrowheads permanently in the library. And Ms. Hinchy, our library director, is here. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, and all commissioners and everyone in the audience. About 9 months ago, Claire Burrows came to me and said, Don Clifton has a collection of arrowheads that he wants to give the library. So Claire and I go out to Mr. and Mrs. Clifton's house. These arrowheads are amazing. They consist of 12 different cases. He has arrowheads as old as 10,000 years ago. He has of a complete Clovis point. They're remarkable. The library agreed to buy locked display cases for them. These cases are now sitting in my southwest room. The arrowheads, as I understand it, are ready to go in these cases. It's a lifelong addition to the Clovis Library that we'll never have something like this before. I feel honored to want to have them be part of my collection. It's quite an honor to have this as being part of our collection. We are thrilled to have them. He has written a book that will be part of the collection that highlights different of the arrowheads. And if you're not an arrowhead collector, looking at these arrowheads is almost overwhelming. They are beautiful, they are colorful, they are detailed, and they'll make a beautiful addition to our collection.
Hi, I'm Don Clifton, and I appreciate the commission considering accepting these. And they were all found by me and my mother in this area, and they're all genuine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clifton. Thank you for your generosity in sharing this wonderful collection with the city of Clovis. Appreciate you.
So once these arrowheads are in their locked cases, we will have a ribbon cutting in early October to highlight this wonderful addition to our collection. They'll be placed in the cases sometime in the next couple of weeks. So if you want to come by and look at them, I'd love to show them to you, and so would Dawn. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing them myself. Commissioners, any comments?
Just one comment, Mayor.
Yep.
This is a beautiful collection. If you haven't seen it before, it's well worth taking the time to go to the library when it's displayed and look at. And I just want to thank Dawn for the opportunity to display this collection. We promise you it will be well taken care of. Thank you.
And Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, it's the desire of the Clifton family that the collection be kept together in perpetuity if that's at all possible. And that's one of the reasons why he's given it to his precious collection to the city of Clovis.
That's wonderful. Thank you for that, Ms. Burrows. Yes, Commissioner Madrid.
You know, I got to see that collection at Don's house, and it's really an amazing thing to see. So thank you, Don. And with that, I make a motion, we go ahead and approve this collection for the library.
Second.
Motion for approval from Commissioner Madrid and second from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Garza, your vote, please.
That's a yes, and thank you, Mr. Clifton. Appreciate it.
And the vote is unanimous, and the motion is carried. Mr. and Mrs. Clifton, thanks for being here this evening, and thank you once again for sharing this with us. Item 3 under new business is request for approval of waiver of fees at Hillcrest Park Zoo for Communities Talk event. And to share with us about this evening is Ms. Nikki Lovett and Ms. Shelley Meeks. And we're glad to have you here. The floor is yours.
Thank you for having us. Hello, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. Shelley Lovett, Shelley Meeks, and myself, sorry, and Christian Price. We are all the prevention team for Curry County. And we are asking the city to partner with us and share the zoo, I guess, as it were, on November 13th from 9 to 1. We would like to have a communities talk event, and this is a nationwide thing that different communities do, and it's mainly to help educate and let families, let youth, let communities know a little bit more about prevention of underage drinking. What we're hoping to do is have little passports that each one of the families or the children can have when they enter the zoo, and they'll go to different locations throughout the zoo where we'll have stations set up, and they will learn different things about underage drinking and how to prevent it, how to speak with your youth, how to speak with your children, things that parents need to know that maybe youth are pretty good at hiding when it comes to underage drinking. And then at the end, they will, once they've gotten all their little stamps at the stations, they will turn that in and they will receive a prize. And part of the prize is the county would like to give them a voucher to hopefully the concession stand if it's open at that time, or something with the gift shop, so that will encourage them to go and perhaps spend some more money there in the gift shop. That is the basis of it. We'll stand for any questions.
Thank you for that. Do we have any questions?
I think that's an awesome program, and I highly support it, and I make a motion we approve.
Motion for approval from Commissioner Casals
Second.
and a second from Commissioner Paula. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Garza, your vote, please.
That's a yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'll make a public, I am related to the requester, but it's in no way, I'm not being impartial with my vote today.
I think that's fair, and I'm glad you stated that, Commissioner. Appreciate that. And the vote is unanimous and the motion is carried. Just love it. Ms. Meeks, thank you for being here and excited about the event. Think it sounds
Great.
wonderful.
Thank you all
Appreciate
so much. Thank you.
Commissioners, we're on to item 4 under new business, and it is request for approval to create a cannabis business license. And our city attorney, Mr. Morris, will advise.
Thank you again, Mayor. So there are 2 ways that the city regulates businesses within the city limits of Clovis. Most businesses have a business registration, but there are a few types of businesses that we require a license and a license fee, and we thought it incumbent upon us to require a license of cannabis establishments now that they're going to be operating in Clovis. And so I have drafted an ordinance that amends our current code to add cannabis establishments to the group of businesses that are required to have a license and prescribes a $1,000 fee. And then I created new code sections with requirements for a cannabis license. The requirements are pretty basic, just that you have to fill out a prescribed application. You have to affirm that you have a license from RLD to operate the type of establishment that you're applying to operate in the city of Clovis, and you have to attach a copy of the license. After I submitted the ordinance, it occurred to me that it would probably be beneficial and safe to add an additional section that reads something to the effect of, an application shall not be granted unless it conforms with section 17.30.020J of our city code. That's the ordinance we're working on that hasn't been adopted, that has all the distance requirements. So I think we'd be fine to deny a license based on our UDO if the applicant didn't comply with our requirements. Just to be safe, I'd rather have that explicit in our licensing ordinance as well. So create a new subsection B or C and just, again, add language that reads, an application shall not be granted unless it complies or conforms with section 17.30.020J. So if there is a motion to approve that ordinance, I would appreciate that amendment.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that explanation. Commissioners, what questions or comments do you have?
Mayor?
Yes.
Just for
Yes,
our
Ms. Melanson.
clarification, thank you, Mr. Morris. Are we talking per 12-month period, per calendar year?
So at the city manager's direction, I prescribed it at $1,000 per calendar year.
Okay, okay.
I noticed that there's, you can do it monthly, daily, or yearly. We chose 1,000 per
calendar,
year. Of
okay.
course, the commission is free to change that however they please.
With a proration or no proration? We currently do not prorate our business registrations, so I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page with this moving forward.
I'll have to pull up the ordinance and
Okay.
see.
Okay.
And Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, while he's doing that, the $1,000 was based off of, we went out and looked at what the state of New Mexico, the RLD, was charging for applicants through their application process, as well as we think about staff time. And so obviously we're going to have to maintain records of where all the licensed establishments are. We're going to have to go out and verify that they are in compliance with our distance requirements, et cetera, should they be adopted. And so we felt that that was actually the smallest fee that the state had in place through the RLD for their application process. So we felt that was a good starting point for us to look at. So that's where that number came from.
Okay, thanks for that, Mr. Howalt. Ms. Melanson, you're waiting on him to find
So-
something for,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah, I was about to ask, did your question get answered?
I'm
But
good,
I
I'm good.
now I
do have
remember
an-
where we're at.
I do have an answer, Mayor, if
Okay.
I may. There is a different code section, Ms. Melanson, it's 5480, which reads as follows. Licenses issued pursuant to this chapter may be paid in 2 equal installments on June 30th and December 31st of each year. So I assume that would apply.
Okay.
But again, we could add different language, however the commission.
Okay, and then I'm not sure on the proration, so if,
What do we do for other businesses?
We don't prorate other
We don't
businesses.
prorate our current business registration or any business, but most of them are a day or so they're not for a full year, so.
So I think to answer your question, if we wanted to prorate and do something different for them, then we would have to probably put specific language in the ordinance.
Okay, but without it, we're fine to continue, okay, that's just clarifying for staff.
Great question. Commissioners, what are your thoughts on this?
I make a motion to approve with the recommendations from Mr. Morris.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve with the language that references our cannabis ordinance. Motion from Commissioner Rowley, second from Commissioner Casals. Commissioners, please vote. Commissioner Garza, your vote, please.
That's a yes, thank you.
Thank you. And by a vote of 8-0, the motion is carried. Commissioners, we're on to reports of boards, officers, and committees. We have a report planned there this evening from Main Street. Ms. Pellegrino Spear.
Can we hear from Mr. Ryan first, since,
We can.
since he travels and has to go back probably?
I appreciate that suggestion,
Sorry,
Commissioner.
Lisa.
So Commissioners, under communications, we had the report on state and federal activities from Mr. John Ryan, who has successfully navigated the traffic and arrived safely in Clovis. Welcome, Mr. Ryan.
Oh, happy to be here. Finally, I get to see you guys again.
Yeah.
And new members, commissioners, it's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Let me start with the activities of the federal government, our trip to DC. It was quick. It was nice in a lot of respects. We were meeting with our congressional delegation. These are some of the first in-person meetings that they were having. Quite unusual that we were able to get in and meet with every member of the New Mexico congressional delegation. It was on the heels of the mayor, your trip to the defense communities meetings within DC, and this just was a little bit of an add-on to meet with the delegation. A lot of you members, commissioners have participated in these trips and met with our delegation, and so Mayor, this was your first time meeting the delegation. They went really well, I must say. We started off by meeting with the two senators to reflect a little bit on the two senators' positions in Washington. Senator Heinrich is on a new committee, Appropriations, and that's to follow. New Mexico has had historically been on the Appropriations Committee, and Senator Heinrich getting on that committee is a real boom, especially as Congress contemplates, and I guess the House has already accepted earmarks, and so now we can go to the delegation members and ask for specific line items in some of the appropriation bills, which is a change that has been a long time coming, frankly. My experience living and working in Washington, I was on the House Appropriations Committee, worked for Congressman Joe Skeen, and it's a wonderful process when it works. So Senator Heinrich's on appropriations. Senator Lujan, brand new senator, just got elected to the Senate, came from the House, came from this district, District 3 in New Mexico. Many of you know him. Many of you know the delegation members. And he's hitting the ground running. He's on the Commerce Committee. He's also on the Agriculture Committee, and he's brand new, but getting really acclimated to the Senate. In addition to the new members, all our House delegation members are brand new, so they're all freshmen, and that's a little bit unusual. A lot of them have new staff, And so we're meeting new staff. They're in different offices. And I'll just run through what I thought, my impressions, Mayor, and please jump in and add your wisdom and your ideas about how things went. But it was to present the city of Clovis's priorities to the delegation. And there's a lot of focus right now on the infrastructure bill, and you know, this is roads, improving roads, bridges, water projects. And we got some really good news on the waterfront. We're waiting for some other news on the water reuse project that the city is interested in. Let me start with the Ute Water Pipeline project. The infrastructure bill that passed the Senate includes $1 billion for 5 rural water projects. That is a very large amount. We typically get about $140 million a year, and for a big allocation to 5 projects, which we are one of them, the Ute Water Project is one of the 5 rural water projects, that will substantially fund that project if it makes it all the way through, and we should, you know, pump the brakes a little bit because there's a long way to go here. It's in a bill within the U.S. Senate. It's in the infrastructure bill. They're debating it right now. The Senate is in session. The House is in district work period, and so your members are back here in the districts. And once we expect it to pass the Senate. It's a bipartisan infrastructure bill, so that makes it get past the votes necessary in the Senate. The House, however, has a different version, and it would have to be conferenced. And long story short, is it's got a long way to go, but it's a really good sign that that project is in the infrastructure bill, and at the level it is, that's something that we've kind of been anticipating and hoping for a long time. On the water reuse for City of Clovis, I want to say that we were advocating that the delegation write a letter in support. We understand now, though, that we were not selected this year, so we are going to put that on a back burner and attempt to go after that. We need to find out what was our deficiencies in our grant application, but they're usually really forthcoming. The Bureau of Rec is the agency that manages that particular grant program. We also talked about the road project, MLK. We talked about the Lyceum, did I say it right? Lyceum Theater?
That's right.
Yeah. We talked about the improvements there. And those are discretionary funding opportunities, so we went to the delegation and asked them to use their discretionary dollars to fund those 2 projects. We won't know the outcome of that until they start moving some of the appropriation bills. And then finally, the project on the list that the mayor discussed with the delegation was the Wellness Center, the Defense Communities Infrastructure Program. It's a grant application. We asked the delegation to write a letter in support of that, and they are working on that now. And we anticipate that we'll receive that, and hopefully that project makes it to the funding. So it was a lot of funding stuff. It was a lot different this trip versus previous trips. As you know, commissioners that have been on this trip, in addition to meeting with the congressional delegation, we often met with the Department of Transportation, the FAA, talked about the Essential Air Service Program. We would go into the Department of Interior, talk about water projects. We'd go into visit with the Park Service and talk about outdoor recreation and parks kinds of things. This is all just to get familiar with our delegation, work with our delegation on federal opportunities, federal programs that impact the city of Clovis, And Mayor, it was a good opportunity, I think, for you to interact with them and meet them, and I think it went swimmingly. Is that how you would describe it?
Swimmingly.
Swimmingly.
Yes. Yeah. It did go especially well, I thought. Of course, as you already mentioned, it was my first trip, so, I didn't have much to compare it to, but, commissioners, I can tell you, I kind of wondered, would we actually get a meeting with the congresswoman or with the senator? But we did in all 5 of the cases. We met with the person and their staff, and, when you think about Washington, you think about partisanship, politics, and all of those things, but, advocating for your city and getting your priorities in front of the federal delegation has no political party. And it was actually really nice, really rewarding to get to do that. And those of you that have been know that John Ryan is, he's terrific in helping us navigate not only the city, but just all of these issues and getting us in front of those folks and helping us be prepared. So, John, what you do for the city is just fantastic. Thanks for everything you do for us.
Happy to do it, and like I said, that there was lots of differences, not only new members and all that, but a lot more COVID protections. So we had to get badges, we had to be escorted into the buildings. It was a little difficult, and because the federal agencies weren't meeting with people in person, we weren't able to do that. But it looks like it's starting to come around, getting back to the feel again, and let's keep our fingers crossed for this spending, that it includes not only some really good funding for the Ute Water project, but also some of the other things that you advocated for. I hope that happens. And,
Yeah, we're definitely.
we made a good case.
We're being cautiously optimistic about that infrastructure bill, and that it will include the funding for the Ute Pipeline project. Well, and these commissioners know well that would be a game changer. To have the pipeline fully funded potentially. That's incredible. Before we let you go, maybe these folks have questions for you, and I'd also check with Ms. Burrows. Ms. Burrows made the trip in support of me and of all that John has just described. Did you have anything to add? Did Mr. Ryan miss anything?
I know he reported it very well, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments, commissioners?
Thank you, John.
No questions, John. Just good to see you in person again. And
Yeah,
I'm surprised not to see you with your traveling partner, Joe Thompson.
Well, I'm safer without him. I really am.
I appreciate all your work and setting up meetings for us in Washington. You do a great job. Thank you so much.
I'm happy to do it.
Yep, we appreciate you a lot, and it sounds like it took a lot to get here today, so thanks for your investment of time to come see us in person.
Love it. Thank you
appreciate
very
you.
much, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, John.
All right. Now we have an update from Clovis Main Street. Ms. Lisa Pellegrino Spear. Welcome.
I'm gonna grab the clicker here. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and all of the commissioners. Thank you for having us tonight. I'm Lisa Pellegrino Spear, the Executive Director for Clovis Main Street. And it's been a while since we've been here, so I do have a little bit of a lengthy slideshow, but I'll go through them really quickly. You guys are welcome to interrupt me, or we can wait till the end if you have any questions. Since Juan's the only one who gets to pop popcorn at home, so try to be as quick as I can for you. So Clovis Main Street, we are the Downtown Revitalization Program and Economic Development for the Historic District in Clovis, New Mexico. This year we did work on this past year we had a new logo designed, and we are also serving on with the city's new logo design. So we're excited to see all these new looks for our community. Maybe. There we go. So I know some of you are a little bit newer, so I wanted to let you guys know New Mexico Main Street is our parent affiliation, and we are one of the 28 affiliated districts under the state of New Mexico. And we are an asset-based economic development organization. So what that means is we utilize the assets that are already in our district and try to revitalize them and restore them to a thriving community and economy in our district. We are a 501c3 volunteer-based nonprofit organization. We were established in 2001, and we are certified with New Mexico Main Street and the National Trust for Historic Preservation, and we are also an affiliated program with the National Main Street. We have a board of directors that are all volunteer, and they are made up of property owners, business and community partners throughout our city, and we work and operate on a 4-point approach, which is organization, promotion, economic vitality, and design. Since 2003, we've been recording our impact into the downtown district, and our impact as well as our public sector impact, our private property improvements, and grant funding. And to date, since 2003, we have over $65 million invested in the downtown alone. And that's a huge, huge amount of funding that is sometimes easy to not see on a day-to-day basis, but over the past years, you can see that really accumulates, and some of those projects are substantial. We have over $3 million that we've gotten grant funding for our downtown district, and over $20 million in public sector improvements, and almost $40 million in private sector, or actually over $40 million in private sector improvements, including last year's numbers. We do keep track of our growth. So 2020, we had some great stats, even though it was a very challenging year. As you guys know, there wasn't a lot to celebrate, but we actually came out on top of the year, and we had 14.5 net new jobs in the downtown district. We had 3 net new businesses in such a tumultuous year, so it was really great to see that happening. And we had 3 business expansions, 4 building purchases, and we did still able to host 13 different virtual or COVID-safe events during that time. And we had 5 digital promotions and 860 volunteer hours. So our board stays busy even when the economy changes. So we were able to adapt. This goes over a list, and I won't go through each one of them for you guys, but this is the list of over $3 million that we have in grants. That grant funding that we have gotten in for public improvement projects in our downtown. We've supported and retained, managed, partnered in all these projects, and are greatly proud of the successes that they've brought into the development of our downtown. One of our current projects is the phase 2 of our Railroad Park expansion. For historic preservation, we wanted to revitalize the historic district, create some curb appeal for our highway, and bring some new life and some excitement to our railroad district. As you guys know, our first phase was the Railroad Park that's already there, and that hosts the 9006 historic engine. And this part will feature a historic clock for Clovis, and it will be an additional space for parking, for beautification, more greenery, more landscaping. That will create some curb appeal for our district. And it also opened up the ability to see the Harvey House, which we have one of the very few, if not only Harvey House left in the United States to be, that is still standing, that needs to be restored. So we hope that that will help entice investors to restore the property. This is the design that we have currently that we are working with. We have made a couple of updates. Part of our design team is here today. Nikki Levitt and Becky, as well as Justin Howalt, stand on our design team, and we've been working hard on this, and we are excited to see that starting to develop. We have Chad Leidick with Leidick Engineering, who's also been supporting this and helping us with these designs, as well as New Mexico Main Street. Amy Bell, who is the design consultant, who's been helping us with these designs as well. So we're excited for this project. It'll be a great addition for our highway and our beautification. Future projects, as you guys know, we worked with the county at the 8th and Main project, and we now have that up and running, and we are going to begin next month the 7th and Mitchell Street project with the design team out of New Mexico Main Street, who will come down and provide services for Clovis and Curry County to do that, and with hopes that we'll be able to have a cohesive design with the 6th and Main parking lot as well too in the future for the city of Clovis. I'm sure you guys have seen all of our pretty new kinetic art that we have downtown. This was thanks in part to our, thanks completely to our legislators, Randy Crowder, and all of our local legislators who supported us with $100,000 of capital outlay. We were able to get these kinetic wind art pieces, and we still have some more art that's coming in. We have 15 now of them that are downtown, and they've all been, we had a few challenges with them because we knew that they were all new designs. But we got them all up and running, and we are really excited about them, and we hope that everybody's enjoying them, and now we can celebrate our wind.
Lisa,
Yes.
in the picture, is that the artist?
Yes, on the left-hand side is the main artist. His name is Lapazzo, and he is out of Texas, and he was a great person to work with. And then his, I forget what you call his assistant, yes, is John Weber right next to him, and both of them do phenomenal work. And not pictured is my husband, who now became one of the assistants now too. So, but we actually worked with them on designing these bases so that way then they would relate to our district. So we created this look of a guitar with railroad tracks instead, and then the music notes and the guitar head on it. So that way then it would be a piece that would contribute to our history in our district. And then many of the pieces also have musical notes on them as well too, as you can see. And Lapazzo has a lot of famous pieces throughout the United States. And now on his website, we're going to be sending a few more photos and videos, and then he'll have a whole section that is dedicated just to the Clovis collection, because they were all new pieces for our area. This year, we introduced our new entrepreneur program called Kick-Ass Entrepreneurs of Clovis. So it's KCLO, and we had launched that in November of 2020, and we started with events in January, and we've had 6 events since then with 5 different storytellers. This program was created for an opportunity to share our local entrepreneur stories, what successes, what challenges they've had, how they can help support other local entrepreneurs and help grow our entrepreneurial district here, our entrepreneurial group here, and support each other. So that way then they all know what it takes to be successful here in Clovis and in our community, and what challenges they may face, and how to work together to be successful. We also started Food Truck Fridays in April this year, and those have been really fun and exciting and very time-consuming, but they are wonderful, and I know that as long as we keep getting people, we'll keep bringing the food trucks. Tomorrow we'll have 4 food trucks, and we have a new vendor that's going to be joining us. We have Foot Farms that's going to be coming out and selling their meat and everything there, so you can actually buy it and take it home and make your dinners, make your steaks. So we're really excited. We've had a lot of food trucks. These food trucks have seen a lot of success since we've started this. A lot of them are getting bookings outside of our event and being able to expand their business as well too. So this has been really successful for those businesses that have really struggled over the last year.
Lisa, excuse me, didn't mean to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
do you limit how many food trucks you can have every Friday?
I try not to host unless I have a minimum of 3, but we haven't had a week yet that we haven't had a minimum of 3. I have space for, I probably wouldn't go over 6, but I have space for a few more. I only have power for 5.
Okay.
So, yeah. But if they want to come and people will come and eat at them, then as long as they're being successful, then we'll continue to do it. So we'll let them come and join us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in 2021, we're only in August, and we already have 10 net new businesses downtown. So we are rocking and rolling. We have more than 35 new jobs downtown, and I'm going to show you guys that all this effort that we're doing, these beautification efforts, the Food Truck Fridays, are all part of creating this climate of confidence for our community and for people to want to develop and invest in our district, and that's what these businesses have been doing. So we have Roosevelt Brewing, which these pictures show we started because we had so many new businesses coming into our district. We really wanted to find a new way to welcome them. So we know that not all businesses are chamber members, so we wanted to do downtown ribbon cuttings, and also we give them a brick now that has, since we're on the historic bricks, we give them a brick that has their business name and their starting date, their what date they were established on there, and hopefully that'll be a piece that gets to stay with them as they continue for the years to come. So That's our new project that we've got with our Economic Vitality Committee. So Roosevelt Brewing just opened in downtown Clovis. The State Theater just had their re-grand opening. However, I did talk to Greg this week. They are having some challenges and are going to have to be closed for a little bit while they do some more work, but they are really excited to be in downtown and be open. So as soon as they're able to get a few of those other things, and hopefully maybe we can even look at some LEDA funding or something to help them along the way. So, but they're doing phenomenal already, and it looks beautiful. They've done a great job at the interior. As you guys know, we worked hard many years on the Levine's Gardens facility. That was one of our capital outlay project as well. And that is hosted by Red Door Brewing, and they have side door kitchen that's in there as well too. And they developed it as an outdoor beer garden, and it's been really popular. They host events and live music in there almost every weekend. We have Firehouse Workspace, which is a co-working space. She took the oldest building that we had in our downtown, 1908, and it was the old firehouse in City Hall, and revitalized it into a new co-working space. And she'll be working on the upstairs as well. There's podcast rooms in there, meeting rooms, photography studios, everything in there for any type of business that you are. It's wonderful. Kayla's been amazing. Kayla Adair is the owner of it. And they've been an amazing contributor to the community, and by doing this, it's just a phenomenal piece of work that they've done. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend you go and see it. On 218 Main, we have Milo's Protein Bar, which he started off on 4th and Main and now has moved over there and put a lot of investment into this project here, and he's doing phenomenal. As you guys know, Bandolero is our first full-service brewery, and they're packed every night. So as long as you're willing to wait, you guys can go in there, and they have phenomenal food. We're really appreciative of the Logans and everything that they've invested into our community. He's done a great job, and I think he's definitely become an anchor for our district. We have R&R Billiards Hall, which is now open, and that one's in a private, undisclosed location. It is for you have to be invited if you're a billiards player. You get an invitation from another billiards player. It's really cool. It's kind of an underground facility, so if you want more information on it, let me know. Might be able to get you guys some invites. We have All In Nutrition on 6th Street, which is another herbal tea and beverage drinks facility. So we're really excited to have them. They have great drinks and perfect spot if you need a nice refreshing drink. Them and Milo's are a great addition to our downtown. Garacella's, we have downtown, which is another boutique that just opened up at 516 Main. And La Guatemalateca opened up at 410 Main Street, and they did an awesome job. This is a grocery store, so we don't have any grocery stores in our downtown, and this definitely filled the gap of some of those needs that we've identified in our downtown district, and can help service a lot of the residents that live nearby. They are predominantly Guatemalan food, but they also have pastries and beverages and anything that you need for a quick snack too. Coming soon, we have Blanca's Main Street Cafe, which will be at 1016 North Main. She's already about 80% done with her construction, so we look forward to seeing that here really soon. And that'll be a dinner and from breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She'll have service for all three. So right across the street from the mayor. And then, as you guys know, you guys already talked about it this evening, the Rails is coming soon, and we couldn't be more excited about this project. This was the old Clovis Train Depot Museum and was the old train station back in 1907. Am I right? Okay. Jordan Nichols and his brother Tate have been working on this project for about 5 years now. Yeah. And we're really excited to see this project opening this year. They've put a phenomenal amount of effort and work into it. It's just an incredible piece of history that's going to be able to be revitalized, and it'll showcase our railroad roots and create a huge anchor for that district. And I couldn't be more excited for this, and I'm so grateful for all the effort that you guys and time and money that you guys have put into this, because it's going to be a phenomenal contribution to our community and to our railroad district. And there's a picture of the progress from up in the Harvey House. We've been working with artists and trying to create more art in our district. We've created a Main Street artery. So we worked with Bandolero and trying to identify what type of a mural they would like on their side building, and then reached out to our local artists that we knew and have worked with in the past. And we're able to partner them together to get this Bandolero mural, which showcases the rider on his horse and overlooking the mesas, and matches their business logo as well with the saguaro cactuses. And additionally, Kayla Adair has the lot that she purchased in the neighboring building, and so she has a lot behind her building. And we talked to her about what can we do with this wall. It's a great big giant wall. And so we are doing 4 murals back there. And again, worked with getting her in touch with all of the right artists. And both Patsy Delk and Gina Davis worked together on this one. They're both 2 local art instructors. And we're able to even bring in some of our community youth artists into doing this. And this is the first of 4 pieces that will be on that back wall. So we're really excited to see what Kayla and Gina does for the next piece. We got our windmill blades up. That's part of our Main Street Artery. We did that community project with the New Mexico Association of Counties Conference. In November, I was requested to be the speaker for a featured presentation for the Fred Harvey National Conference. And I couldn't be more excited about this. This was such a phenomenal experience for me. I learned so much about our community history. And it's about our history as a Harvey destination, but also as our history in transcontinental transportation across the United States, and how big of a role Clovis played in that. And it's a great presentation, and I'd be happy to share it with any of you guys if you'd like to at a later date. It's really shocked me on all of the information. During COVID, we had to, help our businesses in a different way, and so we came up with doing Operation Save Our Stores, and we did live Facebook sales events and also created advertisements for them and did campaigns for our businesses that asked us to, and that we reached out to, and that we're happy to join in on it. And many of them, it helped save their income for the month that we did it with them. We also developed Responding to COVID, a small business survival guide that was utilized throughout the state. And it had tips for our businesses as they went through that challenging time. We had to change some of the way that we did things. And if you can see, there's Vicky down there at the bottom. I had to put that picture in there, and I want to make sure everybody sees how terrified Vicky is of clowns. But we put together a COVID-safe Halloween event for our children, and we put together all the different locations that in town that we're going to be handing out candy in a COVID-safe environment, and put them all together on a map. And then we hosted the kickoff, and you'd pick up the map at our kickoff event. And we had a lot of volunteers, and I'm just so grateful. I wanted to include a lot of these pictures because our volunteers are what makes all of this work happen. So our Christmas parade, again, like you guys know, we had to step outside the box on this. So we had a static Christmas parade to make it COVID safe. We also spread a little bit more cheer and Christmas spirit. We worked on the Green Acres Park project with the city and the chamber, and we were able to bring all of the lights down there thanks to Excel Energy. And then we also worked on the railroad park and lit up our railroad park, as well as BNSF lit up their Be Safe sign for us, and we did the parking lot at 8th and Main as well too. So, and we look forward to our Christmas parade this year, hopefully being back to normal. We worked on Hotel Clovis cleanup. We did a facade squad project in there and cleaned up all of the vacant downstairs space with Cannon Air Force Base and also some local volunteers. We worked with the city on the Lyceum flood recovery. We worked with Brian, who's no longer here, but that was quite the project and unexpected. And of course, you guys know, as of the freeze that happened, we had a major flood in there, and we were happy to help with that facility, as it's near and dear to my heart and all of the people that are on our board. We did 2 Great American Cleanup teams. I think in the October one, I think the mayor was probably the only other team out there with us during that cleanup. Was so cold, and it was a pretty nasty day, but we're always happy to participate, and we always want to have a team that's involved with our downtown cleanup. Coming soon. So we're really excited about some of the projects we've got coming up. We'll be working with CCC, the EPCOG, and the city on the cultural arts series. They're going to be opening up the Mesa Theater, which will now be known as the Norman and Vi Petty Performing Arts Center, and that'll be opening October 8th and 9th. So we're really excited to be a part of that. We'll have street events, we'll have outdoor music, we'll have food, we'll have food trucks down there and activities, and it's going to be a wonderful time to celebrate the reopening of that building. And we're going to be working on building a maker's market for our 8th and Main parking lot, the Main Street Courtyard parking lot, and having a maker's market for local people that are local makers. And really one of my favorite ones that I'm really excited about, on October 2nd, we will be holding a children's entrepreneurial business fair. So this will be an opportunity for kids that like to make things and learn how to sell them, and work with some of our local entrepreneurs as well if they would like to. It's going to be an awesome event. Kids of any age up to 17 can participate in this, and we're just really excited. I know that we've already got kids that are asking about it, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity for them to get involved and learn how to start their own business and reinvest in their own community. We were awarded the New Mexico Resiliency Alliance Outdoor Seating Startup Grant. So we have funding to start outdoor seating. So we'll be working on this with 3 of our downtown businesses. We have Roosevelt Brewing, Bandolero Brewing, and Eddie Subs that will be the recipients of this. And there is a matching requirement. And we're really excited to have some outdoor seating on our streets downtown. We think that'll help liven everything as well. We have historic property signage that we'll be working on as well this upcoming year, and trying to highlight at least one building a year on what they used to be, and bringing some detailed information on those historic properties. And that's it, guys. Sorry, I know you guys didn't get a bathroom break. I should have probably told you that beforehand. So I'll stand for any questions. We're so grateful for your support and love what we do, and love making our downtown a brighter place for everybody in the community to enjoy.
Well, Ms. Pellegrino-Spear, thank you for that update. There's just a lot going on in our downtown, and we appreciate all your efforts. Commissioners, do we have comments or questions?
Mayor.
Yes, Commissioner Elliott.
Lisa, on the Levine's deal, are they through with that, the way the front of it is?
Yes, that is the design. There will be more signage that's going to be added to it, but the facade is predominantly done for our understanding, yes.
Okay, is it kept with the, it's supposed to be a building that's left somewhat as it was when Levine's was there? Are they going by that theme, or is this barnyard looking stuff part of it?
I'm not sure. I mean, it didn't match the historic preservation of it. So historically, there would have been glass windows for the majority of the frontage. But once it's in private hands, it doesn't have to meet historic guidelines. When we tore that building out, we met those historic guidelines to keep the front facade, to keep the tile that's got the Levines in it. And that he has done that, so he is just adding, it's just a different take on what they wanted the feel of that building to have. They wanted it to have a more urban outdoor feel, so that's what they went with on it.
Okay.
Lisa, great presentation.
Thank you.
It's good to see things happening downtown. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments?
One more comment.
Yes, Commissioner Elliott.
The Brick Street, what do they call it? On where the old Woolsworth building used to be?
Mm-hmm.
We were there Friday night, and it's beautiful inside. Did y'all have something to do with that, or?
That one, you're talking about the one that's owned.
Brick Street Warehouse.
The Main Street Warehouse. So that one is owned, privately owned, and they decided to turn half of it into an event space. And it's a phenomenal space. It looks beautiful. They've done a great job, and they've really taken even the outside appeal and brought it inside, and it's just, it's a great contribution to our downtown. I'm glad that you got to go in and finally enjoy it. It's been open since last year, and nobody's been able to use it, obviously, due to COVID, so we're really excited that our event spaces, we have a couple event venues downtown now, and we've got a lot happening, so we've got a lot of spaces for lots of different activities.
I think it added a lot to Main Street. It was a beautiful inside. It really was. I was taken in by it.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you for commenting on that.
Commissioner, are you referring to just so that I have it straight, in the old Crafters Mall building?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah,
Great
Mayor,
space.
back years and years ago, when you was probably a gleam in your mother and dad's eye, I used to go into Willsworth and buy, you know, little odds and ends and toys and things. And, that's a long time ago. Probably 70 years ago.
That's great, Commissioner. Thanks for sharing that, and thanks for bringing up that wonderful space in our downtown.
I'll tell you what,
Yep.
she's done a wonderful job. She has.
Yep.
It's excellent.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
Karen and Shorty, and they just did a phenomenal job. They really did.
Yeah, well, Lisa, you've done a good job with Clovis
Thank
Main
you.
Street and downtown. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for being here this evening. Appreciate the
Thank
update.
you. Thank you.
Very good, Lisa, thank you. And
you.
thank your
Thank you,
board.
Lisa.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Son, I didn't have no popcorn.
Oh,
okay,
man.
so-
All right, next time on.
I thought he had went to
All
bed.
right, good job, thank you.
All right,
Oh, I thought Juan had already went to bed. We love you, Juan.
Commissioners, we are still in reports, and we have several things to report on here. I'll ask Ms. Burrows to help with the report on the Washington DC trip. You heard about the federal delegation visits from John Ryan. Also, that week, we attended the Association of Defense Community Conference. It was a Reconnect conference, and attended that on Tuesday and most of the day Wednesday. And I'll let, if you don't mind, Ms. Burrows, I'll let you share a little about that if you like.
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. Good evening. Yes, we were able to attend the Association of Defense Communities Reconnect conference in Washington, D.C. on the 20th and then the morning of the 21st of last month. We were joined by James Burns, who represented the Committee of 50 for that, and he stayed for the rest of the conference when we had to go off to our other meetings. But usually these conferences are very large, but on this occasion there were about 300 attendees or so for the event. They advised that the defense policy and budget update, the military spending for the for this fiscal year was flat and hadn't taken care of inflation. So there was some widespread concern that the funding profile didn't meet the strategy that they were looking to achieve, and could probably result in a long continuing resolution. So there was some discussion about that. So the Senate, they advised us, was sort of lukewarm on doing another BRAC. Apparently, there needs to be more analysis of infrastructure, excess infrastructure, that is, that hasn't been completed. So a BRAC round wouldn't occur until this work would be done, and which would probably be in the next, once this work is done. They may look at it again or may not. Of course, it's the usual discussion with that, but it definitely wouldn't be in an election year. So we had lots and lots of different presentations about all sorts of things, everything from unidentified aerial phenomena program that has been started. That was an interesting conversation. They gave us the 2021 National Defense Communities. Of course, the City of Clovis received that recognition in 2019. There were lots of discussions also about climate change and the impact that is having on the military, and they gave examples like Tyndall Air Force Base, Puget Sound Naval Base, Travis Air Force Base, and the wildfires at Pendleton. So there were several conversations about that. We had a presentation by Executive Director Patrick O'Brien, who is the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation Executive Director. That organization has replaced what used to be the Office of Economic Adjustment. For those of you commissioners that have been on the commission for a long period of time, you'll know that that relates to, that was the agency that the City of Clovis worked with during the realignment at Cannon Air Force Base when we received the new mission. And then, of course, it's also the agency to which we're applying for the Defence Community Infrastructure Programme funding for the next phase of the Wellness Centre. And they shared with us several different funding sources, programs. They've stood up several new programs in the last year or so. So we're going to look at those and see what we could potentially apply for as far as the city's concerned. We received a presentation on REPI. The budget has 104 million, which is an increase of 45 million for fiscal year 21 for that program. They get exampled various projects that they've funded with that, which was also included U.S. Garrison Hawaii, which was for fire breaks and wildfire mitigation. Camp Riley, which was local soil and water conservation district and a resilience mitigation strategy. And then at Tyndall Air Force Base, of course, you all know what happened at Tyndall. So they've given 4.8 million for the Nature Conservancy for storm surge to address that. There's a discussion, and please, Mayor, just tell me to stop whenever you wrap it up.
That's great, I appreciate it. Go ahead.
So, there was a discussion with Representative Anthony Brown, who is U.S. House Representative for Maryland District 4, and regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion goals for the military. There was a discussion regarding PFAS and the work of the PFAS task force, and they're working to find a fluorine-free firefighting foam and investing funding in research for this. There are various candidates that they are looking at. As you know, we've had these, we're familiar with what's going on in our area with regard to PFAS over adjacent to Cannon Air Force Base, but there are about 698 known contaminated sites throughout the U.S. So they're working with the EPA to achieve an all-government solution. And I guess I should have said at the start, the Association of Defense Communities is not just for the United States Air Force, it's for all branches of the military, not just the Air Force. That having been said, we did receive an Air Force leadership update by Jennifer Miller, who's the Acting Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Energy Installations and the Environment. She gave us a presentation about various different subjects, most significantly, I guess, with regard to our areas regarding housing. There's a huge increases in need, and there's low supply with regard to housing across the Air Force family throughout the country. She also talked about the Military Families Initiative, which was continuing with the spousal employment and schooling and childcare, and they were her main focus as being a vital component of that program. And that is a brief covering of our trip, the first part of our meetings in Washington.
I appreciate that so much, Ms. Burrows. Commissioners, I took notes as well.
I missed it about halfway. Can you go through that again?
Sorry, I didn't have a PowerPoint.
No, thank you for that, and again, appreciate you attending these meetings in Washington. And the Defense Communities Conference was, again, it was the first one of those that I had ever attended, and it was, I had about a third of the folks you would normally see at one of those, from what I understand, and it was really quick. All of the presentations seemed rushed. We got a lot of topics, but only a little bit about each one. It was kind of rushed. But a major theme with the Association of Defense Communities, and frankly, with the group that I attended National Security Forum with at Maxwell back in May, a major theme is this partnerships. Communities looking for partnerships with their bases that are beneficial and help with retention of your base. And so we keep looking for those opportunities with Cannon. It's interesting that we did hear the housing concerns. We're hearing that from Cannon now that there's a shortage of housing, or at least a shortage of housing in Clovis in the price range that the folks at Cannon are looking for. And so, it's just so important that we, in our support of our base and in continuing to foster our relationship with our base, it's so important that we attend these types of conferences and and understand these issues and continue to look for ways to be a great partner with Canon. So thanks again for the report, Ms. Burrows. Appreciate that very much. And commissioners, I will ask for someone to report on the New Mexico Municipal League Policy Committee meeting.
I guess that'll be me.
I guess that's Commissioner Madrid. Let's hear it.
Okay, there was about 40 people that attended. Most of the time, there's about 150 to 200 people that attend, and each committee goes through this different, like we had community economic development and governmental operations, public infrastructure, and human resources. And they have environment, energy, natural resources, that's another committee, finance, intergovernmental governmental relations and taxation, and public safety, and the resolution committee. And then they have some new resolutions that come up. All these resolutions were approved, but the ones that we're gonna bring up to the legislature are the ones that are germane. And that's a bunch of the committees that, well, the whole committee had agreed to it because we just had one solid committee in all the resolutions. So all of them were really passed, and they're gonna go over them again during the conference that's coming up now in August. So we'll be able to, most of the time, we have, how many people from Clovis go? About 6 most of the time? But we only had one now, myself and Claire. Two people to be on the committee. But it was a great conference. We had a lot of discussions on all these. I can go through each one of them, but they sent them to you already on the email. So, but it was a great conference. The ones that were, the ones from Hobbs and Carlsbad, they were kind of worried about some of their stuff up there, about their taxes. The one in Hobbs, let's see. Well, for example, previously every 100,000 GRT is 6.8125 in Hobbs. 2,662.50 would go to the Hobbs, 3,900 to the state, and 250 to Lee County. With the new law, 5,120 will go to the state, 308 to Lee County, and nothing to Hobbs. They need to make sure that they have a voice in the legislature of House 6. And the way it affects us, it affects Carlsbad and it affects Hobbs on their GRT, because these people can move out to the county and then the city will lose the GRT. So it's a big deal that they're talking about. And then they talked about the recovery funding from the state of New Mexico, which we've been working on for a long time. And I don't know, I think it's still in the works, isn't it, Mr. Howalt?
We have actually, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, we've actually received our first tranche of a lot of our funds, which was about $4.7 million. And so we do have those. We have placed them into the budget, as Ms. Melanson mentioned at the last meeting. And so now we'll just ultimately have to decide how we want to utilize those funds, which from an infrastructure standpoint can be used for water projects, sewer projects, or broadband projects. And then there's various social programs that the funds can be used for as well. So once maybe some of these other applications and grants that we've applied for, we know the results of those, and that's something we'll start looking at and bringing some recommendations and for you guys to consider regarding those funds.
Okay. Mrs. Burrows, have you got anything else to add?
No, I think you got it. There were about 20 resolutions or so that were considered to be germane for the upcoming session. Several of them, and some of them are about grants for the libraries and the library bond issues, emergency programs, state aviation fund, those sorts of things. And then under the environment, there was the water conservation fee. That was a bill that the governor vetoed during the last session. Under the finance, there's just several conversations regarding the hold harmless. Of course, they still wanted to continue to pursue that if they could, and then a discussion regarding the local distribution for the 1.225, and then in public safety, there was some conversation regarding the EMS Fund Act, and then various law enforcement and mental health resolutions, and then and another resolution regarding the certification of police officers. But what you'll see, those of you, I think there's several of you that are planning to attend the annual conference, which will actually now be in Albuquerque. They were planning to be in Santa Fe, but they couldn't make that happen for Santa Fe. But what will happen, the Resolutions Committee will meet on the Tuesday prior to the annual conference in Albuquerque and make final decisions regarding these resolutions, which will come to the body on the Wednesday during the session. So it'll be interesting to see this new, there's a new way of doing it. We have AJ Forty, he's our new executive director for the New Mexico Municipal League, and the commission is, the city of Clovis is a member of the league. I think they have about 106 municipalities that are members. So if you are at any point interested in becoming more involved in the policy committees or the resolutions committees, just please let us know. Now we'll be happy to get you hooked up to the right people at the league. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Madrid and Ms. Burrows, for that report, and thank you for the investment of time in traveling to that policy committee meeting and representing us there. We appreciate that. I was close to being able to do that, and with a little more notice maybe could have, but certainly intend to be at the annual conference that's coming up. So, all right.
Okay.
Very good. Well, again, Commissioner, thanks for that report. I'll report briefly on the Eastern New Mexico Water Utility Authority. We had a meeting since this commission last met. We approved a amendment to the engineering services contract related to finished water 3B. So we've broke ground and there's activity underway to complete finished water 3A, which is going to extend the pipeline south towards Portales, and immediately after that, we already have the funding, and we will start construction on finished water 3B, which would connect us to the Portales system. And it was necessary that we meet and approve an amendment to that services contract. Happenings with the Eastern New Mexico Water Utility Authority, you have no doubt received an invitation, but please make note of next Thursday, August 12th at 12 p.m. at the Memorial Building in Portales. We're having a groundbreaking ceremony for the finished water 3 pipeline. Also, finished water 1, which goes north toward Grady in the proposed water treatment site, is the work, the easement acquisition and the design is underway and should have that portion, that phase of the project out to bid by the end of the year. And next week we are having a meeting with all involved, certainly including Texaco, to talk about the Texaco alignment of the pipeline. The infrastructure bill that John Ryan mentioned and that I've mentioned a couple of times to you. We're watching that closely. There's $1 billion for water projects, or for the authorized water projects, and if that bill is passed and that makes it through, we could be looking at having the Ute Pipeline project potentially fully funded, at least from the federal side, which, as you know, is the largest portion, the 75% portion of that project. And cautious optimism. There's no reason to take a victory lap on that yet, but we're definitely optimistic about that and hoping that comes to fruition, and we're dealing with will we go ahead and start all of the rest of the phases of the project and get it completed. So with that, I will yield to whoever would like to share with us about Parks, Recreation, and Beautification Committee.
I'll go with Parks.
Okay, Commissioner Madrid wants to report a lot this evening, so he's got this one too. Go ahead,
Okay.
Commissioner.
We had a meeting, and it was over at Potter's Park, and we had a tour of the pool, and it was it was pretty interesting. There's a lot of repairs that needs to be done to that pool, but it's in great shape. And we had quite a few commissioners in there. We had Commissioner Paulo. Were you there, Commissioner? No. Had Commissioner Casals and Commissioner Lovett and
Commissioner
Elliott. And have you guys got anything to add to the Potter's Pool that you thought about? And then, well, we'll talk about the Marines and the memorials as we go on.
Yeah, I think it's a nice pool, it really is, you know, I'm sure it needs some work, but, I think it's neat. It's a neat park, it really is.
Chairman, I would just ask, I know we got some information, there was some algae in the pool. Were we able to get that taken care of?
We, what we're being told is that it is staining. Obviously during COVID, when we had to close the pool down and we had a lot of stagnant water in there, it created an algae problem along the surface of the pool, the bottom of the pool. And when we went to open the pool, obviously discovered it, tried to pressure wash it off. It started to peel the paint off as well as the coating on the pool. And so we just started simply treating it with chemicals. Obviously, the state of New Mexico came out and tested the water. The water itself is good. We're being told that it's dead, but it's ruined the paint that's on the bottom of the pool. So once we close the pool this coming year, we're going to have to go in there and resurface that particular pool.
I appreciate that. So it wasn't a new issue from what we had seen.
Correct.
And the water's safe.
Correct, yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Holwell, for that information. Anything else? Anything else you want to add to it? Okay. Then we had discussion and action regarding the Marine Memorial. We need to find out what kind of memorial we need to put up at Fernandez Park. And I was thinking about talking to some of the Marines around town. Chief Ford was one of the ones that they were going to talk to. And anybody else wants to add anything to it?
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, Commissioner Madrid, I actually have spoken with former Marine and former Commissioner Rue Brenda, and he suggested contacting Quantico. There's a museum there, so I'm going to reach out to them and see if they have something that we could put at Veterans Park on loan.
Okay, thank you, Claire. And then we had discussion regarding memorials and donations to the city park. And that was putting benches and putting memorials on the benches instead of putting a memorial out there for an individual. Well, it'd be for an individual, but it'd be a bench instead of stuff that they have to take care of, like a rock or something like that they put out there. They'd have to take care of that. So a bench or something else, and then they talked about having a memorial wall at the YRB. And at the library that we have the memorial at.
Yes, and what we've asked is for, what the committee asked is, and Ms. Pellegrino Spear is here tonight as well, and she's also on the committee, I should just like to say.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, and we've asked Mr. Hooper, the Parks and Recreation Director, to come up with a policy for memorials at parks for the committee to consider. So we actually met with him this afternoon to discuss the comprehensive plan updates and strategic plan implementation, and that was one of the things that we discussed. So we're working on that with him. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else to add, Mrs. Pellegrino? How about you?
Good job.
Well, I guess that concludes our report.
Well, great job, and thank you for that, Commissioner Madrid. Appreciate that very much. Commissioner Garza, are you still with us?
You're not asleep, or you?
I just wanted to check in with you.
I was getting some popcorn, so.
Okay.
How
One,
come you didn't bring us popcorn?
at least one more committee report I wanted to share. The Senior Services Committee met, and I'm on that committee. And we heard reports from the senior centers, and they're all in various stages of reopening. Certainly, our senior center is having lots of activities and doing great. Kind of the big news related to senior services is the state bond has sold, and we are going to have the money that we need to complete the Hillcrest Senior Center. And so that's very exciting. The rough timeline for that, or maybe not so rough timeline for that, is scope of work by August 9th, next week, out to bid this fall, and then possibly construction or substantial completion of construction January of 2023, and opening of the new senior center in May of 2023. So that's very exciting, and I'll stop there. Any other reports, commissioners? All right, let's talk about future agenda items. Do we have future agenda items to discuss?
The only one that I have, Mayor, is the cannabis ordinance. The final action regarding that will be at the next one.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ms. Burrows. Commissioners, do any of you have future agenda items to bring forward? Hearing none, we will move on to announcement of date, time, and place of city board and commission meetings. Water Policy Advisory Committee will meet at 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday, August 10th, here in the North Annex. Parks, Recreation, and Beautification Committee will meet at 5:30 p.m. Monday, August 16th at Colonial Park Golf Course. And our next City Commission meeting is at 5:15 Thursday, August 19th, here in the North Annex. Commissioners, we are adjourned.